Hey there. Thank you so much for stopping by, for clicking the play button. Smith. I am a nonprofit expert. Been in this game for a long time. Doesn't even feel like it, but if you are new on this channel, I'm Jill Smith. I am one half of the Smith Serve, and with my husband, we are servant leaders by heart. That's what we do. And we have a nonprofit. We have a nonprofit that we run, a private foundation, which my husband spearheads. And I do the for-profit side, the Smith Serve, where I actually serve is not even, it's a mission-driven for-profit where I help nonprofit founders, mainly those who've been in a nonprofit industry for 5 years or less. I help founders um, set up their nonprofits so they are fundable, so they can get this big 6-7 grant funding so that they can impact their communities. Most of my clients have been in the nonprofit industry less than 5 years, but there are many that have nonprofits over 5 years, and so I serve them as well. Yes, I have 7-figure clients that I've been with since they had a vision, and now they are like dominating their communities. And so we're quite blessed. We've been in this thing for a long time. I've been doing nonprofit management and development for a very long time. I started in the federal government as a program manager and a grant proposal reviewer and panel facilitator. So I know what the government is looking for when they're reviewing proposals and granting millions of dollars worth of funding. So I know it from that side of the industry. I also know it from the recipient side. I've managed several nonprofit programs. And so, yeah, so I like to think that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this thing called nonprofit management and development and the fundamentals of building a nonprofit. If you please subscribe. If you are not in our Facebook group, Founders of Nonprofits, please make sure you click the link and join us over there, because there's a whole bunch of people over there who are building nonprofits, and there's some phenomenal missions that they're doing over there, and they're sharing all kind of tips and best practices, and all kind of stuff. They're sharing all kind of stuff. So you definitely want to be over there. If you are seeing this from the Facebook group, then you definitely want to be over here and subscribe. All right. If you want to talk to me, if you need your own unique one-on-one time with me, you can definitely click the link and schedule a discovery call with me below. And what else? Oh, if you're interested in starting a nonprofit and don't know where to start, click below. You need to download the free checklist, how to start your nonprofit checklist, because it's a strategy doing this nonprofit thing. It is a strategy. And if you miss one part of it, you are stuck. You're stuck. So I don't want you to be stuck. So I want you to build this the right way so that you can build towards, getting those grant funds and funds you need to impact your community and change lives and just make our community a better place, your community a better place. All right. So today, I need to talk about this because let me tell y'all something. I'm very like I'm so I'm listening to all of the complaints and all of the issues and all the problems that a lot of you are having with your nonprofit. The last thing I would have think that it was is board issues, not being able to recruit and retain board members. So I just I felt the need to talk about the board today, in a part that that confuses a lot of people. So I just want to give y'all some clarity as far as one of the board's functions. And so the question for this video is it the board's responsibility to fundraise for the nonprofit? Is it the board's responsibility to fundraise for the nonprofit? So let me just take it all the way back to about 20, 25 years ago. For those of you who know me, and if you don't know me, let me just say I also have education. I have a master's degree in nonprofit management development. So my very first day in grad school, my very first class, the very first class was board development. That was my very first class. I left my good government job that day at 5 o'clock. My class was at 6. And so I left my job. I was program manager for Health and Human Service, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in D.C. So I left my job and I went over to my campus, Trinity. Shout out to Trinity University. Went out over to the campus, and I was like the first one getting to my class, because y'all know me, I'm a book. I love learning. But I sat in I entered my door. My professor was welcoming us into the classroom. Again, it was supposed to be board development, board development. So we get into the classroom, and on the board, across the board, it said fundraising, and we were all confused. We were like, well, maybe, I mean, this is fundraising is not until Thursday or whenever the next, that's not supposed to be this class. So we sat down, and before he said hello, before he said anything, he said, the first thing I want you all to know about boards, their primary responsibility is to fundraise. And we looked at each other and we said, okay. And so I think this is a very important topic, because so many new founders and trying to start their nonprofits off, they're trying to take the quickest, the easiest way out, and they're recruiting board members, family members. They're recruiting board members just so they can, put it on paper, just so they're board fillers. And what you're doing is you're doing yourself a disservice. And so if you don't have board members that are coming in and putting legs to your vision, helping you put legs to your vision and your mission, and making sure that your mission is fully funded, is getting the funds that it needs to get off the ground, you don't have the right board members. You do not have the right board members. So, yeah, there are many things that that the board is supposed to do: governing, drafting and enforcing policy, drafting and enforcing policies. But fundraising is like their main thing. You have a vision, you tell them what your vision is. You come up together, you do the mission statement. This is how we're going to accomplish this vision. This is how we're going to go accomplish this vision. And good board members will say, okay, how much does it cost? And we're about to make sure you get the money so that we can get this vision, this mission up and rolling. And so a good board member will have a Rolodex, or they will come with a check. They will have a Rolodex, or they will come with a check. And so years later, after grad school, so I was very well. I was very well. I knew the responsibility of a board after I went to grad school and all that, and did, was starting to get some traction in the nonprofit industry. And so I was asked to be on a board of a organization in DC. It was an advocate. It's like there was I don't want to say advocacy. It was for social services. It was a nonprofit that was providing social services for children and families. And so I was asked to be on the board. And so I showed up to the board meeting, and they asked me to be on the board because at that time I had just made some big traction with Girls on the Run, and had made a big traction. I got Girls on the Run, a partnership with the White House. At the time, the Obamas, it was their first term in the White House, and I linked up a partnership with Girls on the Run of Northern Virginia and former First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative. So that partnership that I put together, that I connected, got me a lot of traction. And so someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone reached out to me and asked if I would be on the board for this nonprofit. So I went to the meeting, and I was sitting at the table, and the board chair, they were going around, they had introduced me. I was new. Everyone else was, existing board members. I was the newcomer. And so the board chair went around and she introduced me to the rest of the members. And then she says to me, so how will you be paying your $1,200 dues? And I said, excuse me? Excuse me? Like, y'all asked me to be on this board. I didn't say that, but I was like, well, I wasn't prepared to bring $1,200. But, can we work something out? And so what they end up doing is that they end up, which I thought was what was the normal thing to do. They ended up allowing me, because I had because I had a great reputation of doing external relations and public relations for nonprofits. What they end up doing is I ended up giving them like $1,200 worth of services, in-kind services. But I thought that I was going to be doing some fundraising. I would have even said, okay, I will be doing, $1,200 worth of fundraising. Maybe that's my quota for the quarter, or for, or even for the month, is to raise $1,200, because I was prepared, because I knew my responsibility as a board member. But I say that to say, if however the funds got to be raised, whether it's through membership dues, whether it's whatever way, the board's responsibility, a part of the board's responsibility, is to fundraise, is to make sure, especially in the beginning, is to make sure that you have, as the founder, that you have the funds you need to get this mission up and rolling. Now, once the nonprofit grows and you're able to hire a development director and someone who will do, fundraising on a full-time or even a part-time basis for the organization, that's one thing. But even ongoing, one of the things I know for sure, of the many boards that I've served on and many boards that I've just sat in, even as a public, in public settings, I know for sure that, I just lost my train of thought. But basically, I know for sure that it is their responsibility to make sure that that the nonprofit has the funds it needs. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I know for sure is that at least once a year, the board will do a special, and normally is at the annual. Normally it's the annual appeal, but the board will have their own project where they're doing a fundraiser, and so it is their responsibility to make sure that the organization has the funds it needs to operate and to run its programs. That is the board. That's essentially what the board's responsibility is. And so, and however the revenue is coming in and however the funds are, it is their, responsibility to make sure that the funds are there to do what the founder's vision is and what the mission is, as set forth. One of my clients, and this has been years, one of my clients, which is a 7-figure venture today, one of my clients, they're in partnership, they're co-founders. And so when they started their nonprofit, when I say one of the most strategic efforts I've seen from a client, they got their co-workers, because at the time they were working on full-time jobs, they got their boss. Well, one of them got their boss and their boss's wife, who was a very savvy business owner in the city. They got a CPA on their board. They got a TV personality to be on their board. They got a nurse to be on their board. They were very strategic. When I told them what a good board was, they took their time and they picked people. They went and asked, and this is what I always suggest. When you go out to ask for, when you go out to, recruiting, and you're asking potential people to be on your board, what you want to basically say is that if you can give me 1 year, give me 1 year to help me get the nonprofit up and rolling. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I need your expertise. I need your guidance. And if you can just, help me with the first year, this is the vision. And once you have a clear vision and mission and you're confident in it, and especially if the vision and mission is from a personal place, maybe your child has been going through something, or you went through an experience that now you're serving from, people who are heavy hitters, they will give you an opportunity. So this particular client, they had the first board meeting. The board came, the potential board members came, and they sat around the table, and the co-founders, they got up and they presented what their vision was, and they told their story and why this building this nonprofit was important to them. And they told them the mission statement, and they, they presented the story. And I never forget, they had a logo. They showed the logo, and and all of the potential board members agreed to be on the board. And so I remember that they collectively did not like the logo. And that was so heartbreaking for them, but they knew that these people had their best interests at heart. And I say all this to say is because all of the board members gave them a check. And one of the board members, who was the wife of one of their bosses, and who was a very savvy businesswoman, she wrote them a 5-figure check. And so I say that to say, when you got good board members and you are strategically picking them, and you're going out on a limb and you're asking good board members to be on the board, they know their responsibility is to help to fund your vision and get your mission up and rolling. So yes, it is a part of the board's responsibility to fundraise. And if you're not getting those types of people on your board, whether they can give, as I said, whether they can write a check, or they got a Rolodex, or I should say these days, they got a phone with with a lot of contacts, and they got a big social media following where they can go out and help raise the funds, and don't mind fundraising. And so those are good board members. And so, yes, it is the board's responsibility to fundraise for the nonprofit. If you, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. Yeah. But if you need help, structuring board members and meetings and all that, and you need some help, please feel free to contact me. You can DM me, or you can email me at thesmiths@thesmithserves.com. I think that's it. Y'all got to pull the right board members. Don't cheat yourself. A good board is almost like having your sisters and brothers, your older sisters and brothers who got your back. That's a good board. Don't cheat yourself out of good board members. Don't cheat yourself out of a board, because as I said, a lot of people, and just reading a lot of the comments over in the Facebook group, a lot of people are taking the easy way out, and it's not worth it, especially in the long run. So I hope this helps. You can always drop your comments down below. If you got questions, you can contact me, as I said, thesmiths@thesmithserve.com. If you want to get your own one-on-one personal time with me, face-to-face on Zoom, click the link below as well. All right. I hope this helps. All right. Until the next video, I will see you then. All right. Bye-bye.